Hey guys, tonight we begin with a journey into the heart of the ancient world's darkest secret. We're diving into the brutal, unvarnished truth of Roman slavery. Forget the polished marble and noble senators you see in movies. The real Rome was built on broken backs and silent screams, so before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Congratulations, you've just been captured. One moment, you were a person, maybe a farmer tending your fields in Gaul, a mother in a British village, a shepherd in Thrace, a scholar in Greece. You had a name, you had a future. Then the world exploded. The sound comes first, the thunder of hooves, the metallic shriek of armor, the guttural war cries of legionaries who see you not as a person, but as prophet. The smell hits next. The iron tang of blood, the acrid smoke of your burning home, the sweat of fear pouring from you and everyone around you. You run, but it's useless. A hard, unyielding weight slams into your back. The ground rushes up to meet your face, filling your mouth with the taste of dirt and your own blood. Rough hands grab you, yank your arms behind your back. The cold, unforgiving bite of iron closes around your wrists. The manacle locks with a click that sounds like the end of your life. Your old life is over. You are no longer a person. You are property. You are cargo. You are a slave. Welcome to the Roman Empire. The first thing they do is strip you. Not just of your clothes, but of everything. Your tunic, your cloak, the leather thong in your hair, the simple wooden carving your child gave you, all of it torn away and tossed onto a growing pile of loot. You stand naked, shivering in the open air, your skin puckering with goosebumps and shame. Soldiers move through the crowd of captives, their eyes assessing, calculating. They prod muscle, force open mouths to check teeth, turn you around to look for scars or weaknesses. You are livestock. A man who refuses to look down is punched in the gut. A woman who tries to cover herself has her hand slapped away with a laugh. There is no privacy, no dignity, no mercy. This is your introduction to the New World Order. You are a body, a tool, a thing. Then comes the branding. They heat the iron in the embers of your own village's fires. The symbol glows a faint, terrifying orange in the dim light. It's usually the letters CF for Cave Furum, beware of the thief, a cruel joke marking you as the stolen property. Or it might be the mark of the legion that captured you, or a merchant's personal sigil. They hold you down. You struggle, but it's like fighting against stone. The smell hits you first, the scent of your own burning flesh. It smells like cooking pork, a horrifying, intimate odor you will carry with you for the rest of your life. Then the pain, a white-hot, searing agony that seems to go on forever. It's not a cut, it's a destruction. When they release you, the brand on your shoulder or chest smokes faintly, a permanent, painful tattoo that tells the world what you are. This mark is now your identity. It is more important than the name you were born with. Next, the chain. A heavy, crude iron collar is hammered around your neck. From it hangs a tag, a titulus, with basic information. Your price, your origin, your age. You are now an item with a price tag. Then you are linked to dozens of others by a long, heavy chain that runs through the collars. The weight is immense, a constant grinding pressure on your neck and shoulders. When one person stumbles, the chain jerks, choking everyone in the line. You learn to move as one miserable, shambling unit. The clinking of the chains becomes the soundtrack of your existence, a metallic rhythm that accompanies every shuffling step. The march begins. You are part of a human coffle, a line of misery trudging towards the coast. The legionaries on horseback are your drivers, your guards, your gods. They show no pity. If you slow down, you are whipped. If you fall, you are kicked until you get up, or if you can't, you are left to die by the roadside, your body simply cut from the chain and discarded. The days blur into a hellish cycle of exhaustion, thirst and pain. Your feet bleed. The sun burns your exposed skin. The chain rubs your neck raw. The wound from the brand throbs with a constant fiery pulse. You are given just enough foul water and hard bread to keep you alive and walking. Nothing more. At night, you are herded into a makeshift pen, a wooden stockade or a roped-off area. You sleep on the bare ground, the chain still connecting you to your fellow captives. The cold seeps into your bones. You listen to the sounds of the night, the crying of children, the low moans of the wounded, the quiet, hopeless prayers in a dozen different languages. You look at the stars, the same stars you used to look at from your own home, and they offer no comfort. They are just cold, distant points of light in an uncaring sky. You see people break. A man from your village, once a proud warrior, simply stops talking. His eyes go vacant. He becomes a shell, moving only when the chain pulls him. A young woman, barely more than a girl, is taken from the line by a soldier one night. Her screams are short, stifled. She returns later, her face a mask of nothingness. You learn the first and most important rule of your new life. Resistance is pain. Obedience is survival. Your body is not your own. Your will is not your own. Your life is not your own. You are a vessel for labor and suffering, owned by the Republic. After what feels like an eternity, you smell salt in the air. You hear the cry of gulls. The land flattens out, and you see it, the sea, and on the shore a bustling, chaotic town with a massive stone building near the docks. The noise is overwhelming. The shouts of merchants, the creak of ships, the bellowing of animals, and beneath it all, a low, sorrowful hum you can't quite identify. You are marched towards the large building. As you get closer, the hum resolves into a sound you know intimately. The sound of human misery. It's the sound of hundreds of voices whispering, crying, praying. This is the slave market. This is where you will be sold. The chain pulls you forward into the darkness of the holding pen. The door slams shut, and the last sliver of light from your old world vanishes. You are now a commodity, waiting to be priced and displayed. Your past is a ghost. Your future is a question mark of pain. Welcome to the bottom. Welcome to slavery. Continuing on from the darkness of the holding pen, the chain still weighs heavy on your neck. The march may be over, but the real commodification is just beginning. You're about to be prepared for your debut on the Roman market. The holding pen is not a place for living. It's a place for storing inventory. The air is thick with the stench of unwashed bodies, fear sweat, and the low, constant moaning of the broken. There's no straw to sleep on, just hard-packed dirt that turns to mud when it rains. You're given a single bowl of thin, greasy gruel a day, just enough to keep your body from cannibalizing its own muscle too quickly. You are a product, and the seller doesn't want the product to degrade before the sale. The brand on your shoulder has become infected. It oozes a yellowish pus, and every movement sends a fresh jolt of pain through your body. You try to pick at the scab with your fingernails, but the chain restricts your movement. All you can do is sit and fester. Days blur together in the semi-darkness. You lose track of time. Then one morning the door crashes open. Sunlight floods in, stabbing your eyes. Guards wade into the mass of humanity, unlocking the central chain, but leaving the collars on. They herd you out into a courtyard. The first thing you see are large, deep troughs filled with water. This isn't for drinking, this is for washing. You're about to be cleaned up for the buyers. The guards don't bother with gentleness. You are shoved naked into the cold water. Rough hands scrub you with harsh, abrasive brushes, scraping away the grime of the march, the blood, the filth. The scrubbing opens the wound on your brand again, and the water around you tinges pink. You are then doused with cheap, sharp-smelling wine or vinegar, a pathetic attempt at disinfection that stings like 1,000 bees. It's not for your comfort. It's to make you look less diseased to a potential buyer. Next comes the oil. You are slathered in a thin, greasy oil that makes your skin glisten under the sun. It hides the pallor of malnutrition, the bruises, the worst of the scars. It makes your muscles look defined, healthy. It's a lie, a cosmetic illusion painted on a broken body. Your hair, if you have it, is roughly trimmed. You are given a crude, simple loincloth, not for modesty, but because a completely naked slave can look too pathetic, too human. The loincloth objectifies you further, turning you into a standardized unit of labor. You are now prepped. You are now merchandise. You are led back into a new pen, this one adjacent to the main auction platform. This is the staging area. Here, you get your first real look at the Roman slave market in full swing. The noise is a physical force, a cacophony of barking auctioneers, haggling merchants, and the low murmur of a browsing crowd. The air smells of dust, sweat, oil, and money. So much money. You see your fellow captives being led up onto a wooden platform, one by one. The auctioneer, a fast-talking man with a voice like grinding gravel, points out their attributes. Notice the strongback, good for the fields. See her teeth, she's young, healthy. This one has a docile temperament, won't cause trouble. They are rotated, poked, and prodded. Buyers come up to the platform, grabbing their jaws to look in their mouths, pinching their muscles, feeling their limbs for strength. It is the most profound humiliation you have ever witnessed, and you know your turn is coming. A guard grabs your collar and pulls you towards the steps. Your heart hammers against your ribs like a trapped bird. This is it. You are pushed up onto the platform. The sunlight is blinding. Dozens of pairs of eyes stare up at you, assessing, judging. You are a piece of meat. The auctioneer begins his spiel. You don't understand most of the Latin, but you catch the words strong and Gaul and field work. A man in a clean white tunic, a farmer by the look of his calloused but well-fed hands, steps forward. He doesn't look at your eyes. He looks at your shoulders, your legs. He pinches your bicep hard. You flinch. He barks a question at the auctioneer, who answers with a laugh and a slap on your back that makes you stumble. The farmer then grabs your jaw, forcing your mouth open, inspecting your teeth like you're a horse. His fingers smell of garlic and soil. You want to bite him. You want to scream. You do nothing. You have learned that lesson. The bidding starts. The auctioneer's voice becomes a rapid-fire chant. Numbers fly through the air. Denarii, sesterces. It's all abstract, until it isn't. Another man, this one softer in a finer tunic, gestures. He's a household manager, looking for domestic staff. The farmer counters, back and forth they go, your value fluctuating with each nod, each wave of a hand. You stand there, the center of attention and completely invisible. Your fate, your entire future, is being decided by a financial duel between two strangers who see you as a tool. The auctioneer's hammer hangs in the air. The farmer makes one final, decisive gesture. The auctioneer shouts, the hammer comes down with a sharp crack that echoes in your soul. It's over. You have been sold. The farmer, your new master, steps forward. He doesn't introduce himself. He doesn't even look at your face. He hands a heavy pouch of coins to the auctioneer, who counts them quickly and nods. A guard shoves a wooden tablet into your master's hand. Your bill of sale. This is your titulus, your new identity. It states your price, your origin, and a guarantee that you are not a criminal and will not flee. It's a warranty for a piece of equipment. Your master finally looks at you, but his gaze is empty, impersonal. He gestures to a burly slave who stands behind him. This man is your new overseer. He grabs the chain attached to your collar and gives it a sharp tug. Move, he grunts. You are led off the platform, away from the market, towards a waiting cart. You don't look back. There is nothing to look back for. The chain gang is over. Now, the real work begins. The cart jolts away from the market, the chain on your collar now tethered to a ring on the wooden bench. The farmer, your master, rides ahead on a horse, not bothering to look back. You are his problem now, a piece of equipment to be transported. The bustling noise of the market fades, replaced by the rhythmic clatter of the cart's wheels on the stone-paved road. You are leaving the only world you've known for weeks, heading into the deep, unknown heart of Italy. This isn't a road, it's a miracle of engineering built on agony. The Appian Way. The stones are perfectly fitted, the surface unnervingly smooth. You see milestones pass by, marked with the name of an emperor you've never heard of. Legionaries march past in perfect, terrifying unison. Chariots kick up dust, and everywhere there are slaves repairing the road, slaves carrying litters, slaves driving herds of animals to market. You are not an anomaly. You are part of the engine that makes this entire civilization run. The sheer scale of it is suffocating. This isn't a few captured people. This is an entire economy of bondage. You are one drop in an ocean of human suffering. The journey takes days. You sleep chained to the cart, exposed to the elements. The nights are cold, the days are scorching. Your ration is a handful of poor quality bread, a few olives and water that tastes of leather from the skin. Your master occasionally tosses a piece of spoiled fruit into the cart, watching with detached amusement as you and the other new purchases scramble for it. You are animals being fed scraps. The infection in your brand is getting worse. The flesh around it is hot, swollen and angry red. Pus soaks through your loincloth. Every jolt of the cart is a fresh torment. You try to hide your discomfort, but a fever is starting to set in. Your body aches, your head throbs. Weakness is a death sentence for a slave. You pray your master doesn't notice. He notices. On the third day, he rides back alongside the cart and stares at you. His eyes are not filled with concern, but with calculation. He paid good money for you. He barks an order to the overseer. That evening, instead of being left chained, you are dragged from the cart. The overseer, a man with a face like weathered stone and breath that smells of cheap wine, forces you to the ground. He has a small knife and a clay pot of a foul-smelling green paste. Without a word, he roughly scrapes the worst of the corrupted flesh from your brand. The pain is so intense you see stars, your vision tunneling to black. You vomit onto the dirt. He smears the stinging paste onto the wound and wraps it with a dirty strip of linen. It's not kindness. It's maintenance. A farmer doesn't let his plow rust. A master doesn't let his new slave die of infection before he's even worked a day. Finally, you turn off the main road onto a narrower dirt path. The land opens up into rolling hills, covered in neat rows of grapevines and olive trees. In the distance, you see a cluster of buildings, a larger whitewashed villa with a red-tiled roof, and behind it, a collection of smaller, cruder structures made of mud, brick and thatch. This is it, your new home, the latifundia, the estate. The cart rolls to a stop in a dusty courtyard. The overseer unlocks your chain from the cart and yanks you forward. You stand, unsteady on your feet, shivering despite the warmth of the day. The master dismounts and is greeted by a stern-looking man in a slightly better tunic, the villicus, the slave foreman who runs the day-to-day operations of the farm. The master gestures towards you. This one's for the fields. See that the brand heals. Don't let him idle. The villicus nods, his eyes scanning you with a cold, professional efficiency. He sees your feverish state, your unsteadiness. He sees a liability. He backhands you across the face, a sharp, stunning blow that sends you to your knees. You belong to the estate now, he snarls. Your body belongs to the master. Your strength belongs to the master. Your time belongs to the master. You have nothing. You are nothing. Remember that, and you might live a long life. Forget it, and you'll fertilize the orchard. You are dragged not towards the main house, but towards the squalid cluster of huts behind it. This is the ergastulum, the slave barracks. The door is low, forcing you to stoop. Inside it's dark, smelling of sweat, dirt, and despair. There are no windows, just a few holes in the roof for smoke to escape. The floor is packed earth. A single long wooden platform serves as a communal bed, covered with a thin layer of moldy straw. A dozen pairs of eyes look up as you enter. They are hollow, exhausted faces, men and women worn down by years of relentless labor. They say nothing, they just stare. You are a new entry in their world of misery. The overseer shoves you towards an empty space on the wooden platform. You sleep here. You wake when the bell rings. You work until the sun is gone. That is your life. He leaves, bolting the door from the outside. You are locked in. You collapse onto the straw, the fever burning through you. Around you, the other slaves remain silent. There is no welcome here. There is only shared suffering. You close your eyes. The brand on your shoulder pulses with your heartbeat. This is your world now. A dark, airless hut at the edge of a beautiful, prosperous estate that your blood will build. Tomorrow the bell will ring, and your real work will begin. The bolt slides open with a sound like a cracking bone. It's still dark, a deep, impenetrable black that clings to the inside of the barracks. There is no gentle dawn, no soft light. There is only the violent clanging of a bell, a harsh metallic shriek that tears you from a feverish, nightmare-ridden sleep. A voice roars from the doorway. Up! Now! This is your new alarm clock. This is the sound that will greet you every single day for the rest of your life, however short that may be. You stumble to your feet, your body screaming in protest. The fever has broken, leaving you weak and drenched in cold sweat. The brand on your shoulder is a tight, angry knot of pain. The other slaves are already moving, a silent, practiced routine of misery. There is no washing, no stretching, no moment to gather yourself. You are herded out into the pre-dawn chill. The air is cold enough to see your breath, a small ghost of warmth stolen from your body. In the courtyard, a large cauldron hangs over a fire, emitting a thin, greasy steam. You are handed a wooden bowl and a small, hard loaf of bread. The porridge in the cauldron is a grey, watery slop, mostly boiled chaff and a few lonely barley grains. It tastes of nothing and everything, ash, dirt, despair. You devour it in seconds, scraping the bowl with your fingers. This is your fuel. This is what must power you until sunset. As you eat, you get your first proper look at the estate in the faint, creeping light. The master's villa is larger than you thought, a symbol of serene power with painted walls and a colonnaded walkway. It is beautiful, and its beauty is a mockery of your existence. Between you and it lies the working heart of the farm. Storage sheds, a press for olives, vats for wine, and pens for animals. Pens. And everywhere, slaves, dozens of them. Men, women, even children, all moving with a weary, automated purpose. Their faces are blank, their eyes fixed on the ground. This is your new community, a community of the living dead. The villicus, the foreman, stands on a small block, his whip coiled in his hand. He doesn't need to shout now. The silence is more terrifying. His eyes scan the assembled workforce. The north field needs clearing. The olives in the west grove are ready. The press needs repairing. You know your tasks. Do them well. His gaze falls on you, the new investment. He points a calloused finger. You, with me. He leads you to a tool shed. Inside, it smells of rust and old wood. He hands you a tool. It's an ascia, a type of axe hoe. Its wooden handle smooth and dark, with the sweat of countless hands that have held it before you. The iron head is heavy, rust-spotted, but still sharp. This is yours, the villicus says. You lose it, you break it, you answer to me. Your life is worth less than this tool. Remember that. You are assigned to a gang headed for the North Field, a rocky patch of land that needs to be cleared for new vines. The work is simple, brutal, and endless. You swing the ascia, driving it into the hard earth to loosen rocks and stubborn roots. Your hands, soft from whatever life you lived before, are no match for the rough handle. Blisters form, then break, smearing the wood with your blood. The handle becomes sticky, tacky. Every swing sends a jolt of pain up your arms, settling into a deep ache in your shoulders and back. The sun, once a welcome warmth, becomes a cruel adversary. It beats down on your bare head and back, and the greasy oil you were slathered in at the market now traps the heat, cooking you alive. Sweat pours from you, stinging your eyes and the raw flesh of your brand. You look at the other slaves working alongside you. They don't speak. They don't look at you. Their movements are economical, perfected by years of repetition to conserve the tiniest shred of energy. A man in his 50s, with a permanently bent back and fingers twisted like claws, works with a slow, grim determination. He's a fossil in the making, his body a map of a lifetime of labor. This is your future if you're lucky. This broken, ancient body, still swinging a tool until the day it collapses. The Villicus patrols the field. He doesn't work. He watches. His eyes are everywhere, missing nothing. He sees you pause for a second to wipe the sweat from your eyes. In an instant, he is there. He doesn't yell. He just brings the whip down across your back. It's not the full-force lash he's capable of. That would damage the master's property too much. But a sharp, stinging crack that feels like a line of fire has been drawn on your skin. You don't stop, he says, his voice flat and calm. You work until the bell. You stop when you're dead. The message is received. Pain is the teacher. Obedience is the lesson. You swing the Assia again and again and again. The world narrows to the arc of the tool, the impact with the earth, the pain in your hands, the fire on your back. You are no longer a person. You are a machine made of meat and pain. You are a function. You are a swing of the axe, a step forward, a rock moved. The sun climbs higher. Your thirst becomes a raging beast in your throat, but the water skin is passed around only occasionally, and you get a few precious, warm swallows. Your muscles tremble with fatigue. You don't think about escape. You don't think about your past. You can't. There is no room in your mind for anything but the next swing, the next breath, the next moment of avoiding the whip. This is your new home, not the barracks, not the estate. This field, this pain, this relentless, soul-crushing labor. This is where you live now. And the bell to end the day feels like a lifetime away. The bell rings again. A different tone this time, not the sharp command to rise, but a lower, longer, almost mournful clang that echoes across the fields. It's the only mercy you will receive all day. The swinging of your Assia stops mid-arc. Your body, which has been a single tense muscle for hours, goes limp with a relief so profound it feels like a new kind of pain. The work is over. For now. But the day is not. You are not released, you are herded. The Villicus and his under-overseers corral your gang and all the other gangs from across the estate into a ragged line. You are marched back to the central courtyard, your tools are taken and locked away, accounted for, always accounted for. Then you are given your evening meal. It is identical to the morning meal. The same grey gruel, the same hard bread. Your body screams for more, for substance, for anything to repair the damage of the day. But this is all you get. You eat it standing up, too exhausted to even sit on the ground. The sun is setting, painting the sky in beautiful oranges and purples that you don't even see. Beauty is a luxury for people who have the time to look up. After the meal, there is no rest. There are still chores. You are assigned to the mill. This is a special kind of hell reserved for the strongest or the most punished. It's a large, circular stone track. You and several other slaves are chained to a massive wooden beam, your shoulders set against it. You must walk, pushing the beam in an endless, dizzying circle. The beam turns the heavy millstones that grind the grain for tomorrow's bread. You are a human engine, a biological motor powering the very system that enslaves you. The air is thick with stone dust that coats your lungs, making you cough. The chain around your ankle chafes with every step. You walk in a circle for what feels like hours, your mind emptying of everything but the rhythm of your feet on the stone. This is your leisure time. This is your evening. Finally, when full darkness has fallen, you are unchained from the mill and shoved towards the barracks. You stumble through the low door and collapse onto your designated space on the wooden platform. The straw scratches your raw back where the whip struck. You don't have the energy to remove your loincloth, to clean the day's grime from your body. The other slaves do the same. The room fills with the sounds of exhaustion, low groans, coughs, the shifting of broken bodies trying to find a position that doesn't scream in agony. No one speaks. What is there to say? Tomorrow will be the same, and the day after, and the day after that. This is the rhythm of your life. A cycle of pain and exhaustion with no variation, no reprieve. The days begin to blur into one another, losing their individual shape. There is no Tuesday, no market day, no festival. There is only work day. You wake to the bell, you eat the gruel, you work until your body threatens to give out. You eat the gruel again, you perform more labor, and you collapse into a sleep so deep it is barely distinguishable from death. Your hands transform. The blisters callous over, forming thick yellow pads of dead skin. Your back muscles harden, but the ache never truly leaves. It just becomes a permanent resident in your body. You learn to move with a stoop, to conserve energy, to make every motion count. You become efficient in your own suffering. You learn the hierarchy of the estate. The villicus is a god, his word is law. But beneath him are other slaves with more privilege, a fragile pecking order built on misery, the blacksmith, whose skill grants him a slightly better diet and his own tiny cell, the cook in the main house, who might sneak an extra piece of bread to a favorite, the master's personal attendant, who lives in the shadow of the villa but is still a slave, forever at the whim of his master's temper. You are at the bottom, a field hand, disposable, replaceable. There are thousands like you. Weeks turn into months. The seasons change. The work changes with it. Ploughing, sowing, harvesting, pruning. The specific torture varies, but the constant is the pain, the exhaustion, the hunger. You forget the sound of your own name. No one has used it since you arrived. You are called you, or slave, or if the villicus is feeling specific, the Gaul. Your identity, the person you were, is being systematically erased, replaced by the needs of the field and the will of the master. You are becoming what they said you were from the beginning, a thing, a tool that eats and sleeps. One night, as you lie on the wooden platform, listening to the ragged breathing of the man next to you, you realize you can no longer clearly picture your daughter's face. The memory is there, but it's fuzzy, like a reflection in muddy water. A cold terror grips you, colder than any winter night in the barracks. They haven't just taken your freedom and your body. They are taking your memories. They are taking your past. They are taking you from yourself. And there is nothing you can do but close your eyes and wait for the bell to ring again, pulling you back into the nothingness that is now your life. The dawn will always come, and with it the bell and the gruel and the pain. That fading memory of your daughter's face isn't just a symptom of exhaustion. It's the intended consequence of a system meticulously designed to erase you. While your body breaks in the fields, an invisible cage of laws and customs solidifies around you, far stronger than any iron collar. You are not a citizen, you are not even a person. In the eyes of Roman law, you are res, a thing, property, chattel. The legal term is servus, but that's just a fancy word for a living tool. You have no rights, none. You cannot own property. You cannot enter into a contract. You cannot legally marry. Any relationship you form, any children you father or bear, are not recognized by the state. They belong to your master, just like the offspring of his livestock. Your body is not your own. It is an instrument for labor and for pleasure, should your master will it. There is no law against rape here, only damage to another man's property. If you are assaulted by another slave, your master may punish them for damaging his goods, not for violating you. You are an object, a talking plough. This legal reality is enforced by the concept of Dominica Potestas, the master's power. It is absolute, unchecked, and terrifying. Your master has the power of life and death over you, the ius vitae necisk. He can beat you, starve you, work you to death, or kill you on a whim, and he answers to no one. There are no police to call, no courts to appeal to. Your testimony is not admissible in a court of law unless it is given under torture. Think about that. Your words are only considered truthful when you are in unbearable agony. The state exists to protect property, and you are the property. You are the thing being protected from others, not a person being protected by the state. This power dynamic is woven into the very fabric of daily life. You must refer to your master as Dominus, Lord Master. He calls you by your function, or your origin, or nothing at all. If you pass him, you must lower your eyes and step aside. Your gaze is a challenge. Your posture is a statement. Everything you do, from the way you eat your gruel to the angle of your head, is policed. The villicus is the enforcer of this invisible architecture, but every free person on the estate, from the master's children to the visiting tax collector, participates in it. They learn from childhood that you are beneath them, a different order of being. You are part of the landscape, like a tree or a rock, but with the annoying capacity to feel pain. And the system is clever. It offers just enough hope to keep you compliant. There is a path to freedom, a process called manumission. A master can grant you your freedom as a reward for decades of loyal service, or in his will, or you can somehow save enough of the tiny allowances, the peculium, you might receive to buy your way out. But it's a mirage for most. The price of your freedom is set astronomically high, far beyond what you could ever save from your meager existence. And even if you achieve it, you don't step into the light as an equal. You become a libertus, a freedman. You are now free, but you are not free of your master. He becomes your patronus. You owe him respect, political support, and a portion of your earnings for the rest of your life. Your children might be full citizens, but you will always bear the social stain of your past. You exchange the physical chains for invisible, lifelong ones. It's a promotion from a tool to a client, but you're still owned, just in a different, more polite way. This legal framework creates a bizarre and horrifying world of contradictions. A master can be kind, he can provide better food, he can refrain from using the whip. But that kindness is a gift, not a right. It can be withdrawn at any moment. His benevolence is as arbitrary as his cruelty. It makes his power even more absolute, because you can never know what will please or displease him. You live in a state of constant low-grade anxiety, trying to read his moods, anticipating his desires. It's a psychological game where the rules can change without warning, and the penalty for losing is torture or death. The law also pits you against each other. Slaves are encouraged to inform on one another. If you report a plot to escape, you might be rewarded with an extra ration of food or a less backbreaking job. If you don't report it and it's discovered, you will be tortured and killed alongside the conspirators. This breeds a deep, pervasive distrust among the slaves. The man sleeping next to you on the wooden platform, the one whose cough keeps you awake at night, could be your ally or your doom. You cannot form bonds, you cannot plan, you cannot trust. The system isolates you even in a crowd. It makes you complicit in your own oppression. So you learn the rules, the real rules, not the ones written on scrolls. You learn that silence is safety, that obedience is survival, that hope is a dangerous luxury. The law is a wall around you, and every day you spend inside it, the wall gets higher and the world outside gets smaller. You stop thinking about freedom. You stop dreaming of your daughter's face. You focus on the swing of the Asia, the taste of the gruel, the fleeting relief of sleep. The system is winning. It is carving out your insides and filling the hollow space with its own brutal logic. You are becoming a perfect slave, efficient, silent, and utterly, legally, completely owned. The relentless logic of servitude governs every aspect of existence, but not all suffering is equal. While you swing the Assia under the open sky, a different kind of hell simmers within the walls of the master's villa. A hell of heat, precision, and constant, terrified vigilance. Your transfer from the fields is not a promotion. It's a reassignment of a tool to a different task. The villicus grabs you one morning before you join the field gang. The kitchen slave died. Fever, you'll do. That's all the explanation you get. You are marched to the back entrance of the villa, a world away from the grand front colonnade. You are handed over to the cocus, the head cook, a massive, sweating man with forearms thick as hams and a permanent scowl etched onto his face. He looks you up and down with pure disgust. You stink of the field, you'll stink up my food, but orders are orders. Don't touch anything. Don't speak unless spoken to. And if you burn the bread, I'll brand your other shoulder with the griddle. You are introduced to your new domain, the Kalina, the kitchen. It's a dark, windowless room, dominated by a large open hearth. The heat is the first thing that assaults you. A thick, oppressive, wet heat that clings to your skin and lungs. There is no breeze, no escape. The air is a soup of smoke, roasting meat, simmering fish sauce, garum, and the sour tang of fermenting wine. This is your new atmosphere. You will breathe this, sweat this, dream this. Your tasks are endless, menial, and performed under the cook's tyrannical eye. You are the human equivalent of a bellows. You are to chop wood, constantly, feeding the insatiable appetite of the fire. You are to grind spices in a heavy stone mortar, the repetitive motion making your wrists ache. You are to pluck feathers from chickens, scale fish, peel mountains of vegetables, and stir enormous pots of stew that bubble like volcanic mud. Your hands, once torn by the Assia, are now burned by hot handles, cut by knives, and stained by food and soot. But the worst task is turning the spit. A whole sheep or pig is skewered on a large metal rod over the fire. You are chained to a mechanism, or simply ordered to stand and turn it by hand. The heat from the fire blasts your face, drying your eyes and cracking your lips. The fat from the meat drips into the flames, causing them to leap and sputter, singeing your arms. You stand there for hours, turning, while the meat browns, and the kitchen fills with a rich, taunting aroma that your stomach, filled with gruel, can barely comprehend. You are a machine designed to produce a feast you will never taste. The cook is an artist under pressure, and his medium is food for a man who holds the power of life and death. The master is having guests tonight, senators perhaps. The cook's anxiety is a palpable force in the room. He tastes, he seasons, he curses, he throws a ladle against the wall. Every dish must be perfect. And you, the lowest cog in this culinary machine, are the easiest target for his rage. You are too slow with the wood. The fire wanes. He backhands you, your ear ringing. You grind the pepper too coarse. He pours the entire contents of the mortar over your head, the sharp dust getting in your eyes and nose, making you sneeze uncontrollably. He laughs, a harsh barking sound. Maybe the master would like you seasoned, you useless piece of Gallic trash. The other kitchen slaves ignore you. They are a tight-knit group, bound by shared misery and a hierarchy of their own. The head cook, the assistant cooks, the bakers, the servers. You are beneath all of them. The scullion, the drudge. They steal the choice scraps meant for the master's dogs. They sip the fine wine when the cook isn't looking. You get nothing. You are the newcomer, the outsider, and you haven't earned the right to their petty thefts. Then the feast begins. Platter after glorious platter is carried out by the household slaves, who move with a silent, graceful efficiency you can only envy. Roasted boar stuffed with thrushes, oysters in a wine sauce, dates rolled in honey and sesame seeds, delicate pastries. The sounds of laughter and conversation drift back from the triclinium, the dining room. It's the sound of a world of pleasure and power, a world built directly on your suffering. You are still turning the spit. The main course is over, but now there are pastries to be baked, sweet wines to be warmed. The work doesn't stop. Finally, the guests leave. The silence that follows is almost as loud as the feast. The kitchen is a disaster zone. Piles of dirty pots, greasy counters, bones and scraps everywhere. And now, your final task, cleaning. You must scrub every surface, wash every dish, scour every pot until it shines. The cook collapses onto a stool, drinking deeply from a jug of wine, his energy spent. He watches you with dull eyes as you work, your body screaming for rest. You won't get any. The kitchen must be spotless for tomorrow's breakfast. You finish in the dead of night. You are dismissed back to the barracks. You stumble through the dark, your body aching in new and different ways, your skin and hair reeking of smoke and grease. You collapse onto your spot on the wooden platform. The field slaves stir, smelling the strange scents on you. They say nothing. You are one of them, but you are also a part now. You have seen the inner workings of the master's world, the decadence that your labor enables. And as you drift into an exhausted sleep, you realize a terrible truth. The heat of the kitchen is worse than the heat of the sun. In the field, your enemy was nature and the whip. In the kitchen, your enemy is the relentless expectation of perfection, the constant fear of a single mistake, and the tantalizing, cruel proximity to a luxury that will forever be just beyond your reach. The bell will ring all too soon, and you will be back in the heat, the smoke, and the cook's shadow. There is no rest. There is only the next meal. The kitchen's heat becomes your new normal. A sweaty, smoky purgatory you navigate by rote until the day the master's voice cuts through the clatter of pots like a blade. One moment you're scrubbing a burnt stew pot, the next the villicus is at the door, his expression unreadable. The master wants you now. That's all he says. No explanation, no reason. Your heart hammers against your ribs. What have you done? Is it the slightly under-seasoned sauce from last night, the bread that was a shade too dark, or something you can't even remember? In this world, you don't need to do anything wrong to be in trouble. You just need to exist within the master's line of sight. You are dragged from the kitchen, your hands still slick with grease, and pushed into the main part of the villa. The transition is jarring. You go from the chaotic, fiery darkness of the Kulina to the cool, serene and opulent world of the Dominus. The air here smells of beeswax, exotic flowers and quiet power. The floors are intricate mosaics depicting gods and heroes. You walk on art. The walls are painted with lush gardens and mythical scenes, a permanent springtime that mocks the perpetual winter of your soul. You are led into the tablinum, the master's study. He is seated at a desk, scrolling through a wax tablet. He doesn't look up. You stand there, trying to make yourself invisible, your eyes fixed on the geometric patterns of the floor. The silence is heavier than any chain. Finally, he speaks, his voice calm, conversational, as if discussing the weather. I have a gift to deliver to my neighbor, Lucius Aelius. You will carry it. He gestures to a small, ornate wooden box on the edge of his desk. You will not open it. You will not drop it. You will not speak to anyone on the road. You will go directly there and directly back. If you are gone a moment longer than necessary, I will assume you tried to run, and you know what happens then. He still hasn't looked at you. You are a function, a delivery mechanism. You nod, your throat too dry to form words. The villicus shoves the box into your hands. It's heavier than it looks. What's inside? Jewels, documents, a severed head? It doesn't matter. Your only job is to be a pair of hands that transports it. You are sent out onto the road, alone. This is a test. It has to be. The freedom is an illusion, a trap. You feel 1,000 eyes on you, though the road is mostly empty. Every rustle in the bushes could be an overseer watching your pace. Every traveler you pass could be a spy for your master. The box feels like it's burning your hands. The temptation to peek is a physical ache, but the memory of the whip on your back is stronger. You walk at a brisk, steady pace, not too fast, not too slow. Any deviation could be misinterpreted. You deliver the box to the neighboring villa. A slave takes it without a word, and you turn immediately to leave. The journey back is even more agonizing. Is the master timing you? Does he have someone following? Your life hinges on the whims of a man who likely forgot about you the moment you left his study. Back at the estate, you report to the villicus. He grunts, which you assume means you haven't incurred immediate punishment. You return to the kitchen, but the rhythm is broken. The cook is furious you were gone for an hour. He assigns you triple the wood-chopping duty. You swing the axe, your mind racing. The master's whim has reminded you of your place. You are not a person with a routine. You are a resource to be deployed, a tool to be used, a toy to be played with. Your time, your body, your very movements are not your own. They are his. Days later, it happens again. You are summoned to the peristylium, the inner courtyard garden. The master is entertaining guests, lounging on couches. He points a lazy finger at you. You stand there. He indicates a spot near a column. Hold this. He hands you a large, ornate fan made of peacock feathers. Your job for the next 3 hours is to stand perfectly still and wave the fan gently, creating a breeze for the master and his friends. It sounds easy. It is torture. Your arm aches from holding the fan aloft. Your back screams from immobility. You are a piece of living furniture, a human air conditioning unit. The guests discuss politics, philosophy, poetry. They debate the nature of freedom and the rights of citizens. The irony is so thick you could choke on it. They don't see you. You are part of the scenery. You learn to breathe shallowly, to blink less, to become a statue. This is your purpose now. The whims change daily. One morning you are ordered to hold the master's hunting dogs while he inspects their teeth. The dogs, well-fed and vicious, snarl and strain at their leashes, their drool soaking your legs. Another day, you are told to accompany the master's son to his tutor, carrying his scrolls. The boy may be 10 years old, has already learned to treat you with contempt, snapping his fingers and calling you slave as if it were your name. You are a living lesson in power for him. You are a footstool, a messenger, a pack mule, a fan waver, a dog handler. Your identity is whatever the master needs in that moment. There is no consistency, no predictability. You live in a state of perpetual anxiety, never knowing what the next hour will bring. This arbitrariness is the true essence of his power. The whip and the chain are just tools. The real control is in the uncertainty. You can't plan, you can't adapt, you can't find a safe pattern. You are always off balance, always waiting for the next command that will upend your world. It keeps you docile, it keeps you terrified, it ensures that even in moments of quiet, you are never at peace. The master's whim is the invisible thread that pulls your strings, and you dance, you always dance, because the alternative is a pain so profound it would unmoor you from reality itself. You are his to command, and every day is a new lesson in that simple, brutal truth. The master's whims are a special kind of torture, but at least in the villa there is shade and the occasional scrap of better food. That fragile, hellish equilibrium shatters when the villicus finds you fanning the master in the garden. He watches with cold eyes, then speaks to the dominus in a low voice. The master waves a dismissive hand. Take him. I'm bored of his face. Just like that, you are property reassigned. The peacock fan is taken from your hand, and you are marched back to the tool shed, back to the Assia. You have been demoted from living furniture back to a brute instrument. Welcome back to the fields. You thought you knew what hell was. You were wrong. The field slave's existence makes the kitchen seem like a reprieve. Here, there is no artistry, no pretense, no variation. There is only magnitude. The scale of the suffering is what breaks you. The sun is not just hot. It is a malevolent god that wants to bake you into clay. The work is not just hard, it is designed to consume your body at a calculated rate. You are not a person performing a task. You are a biological engine fueling the Roman agricultural machine, and your fuel is your own flesh. You are assigned to the quarry gang. This is where they send the strongest, the most rebellious, or the most disposable. The estate needs building stone, and you are the tool that will extract it. The work is simple physics. You swing a massive sledgehammer against an iron wedge, driven into a fissure in the limestone. The impact jars every bone in your body. Your teeth rattle. Your vision blurs. You do this for hours. Swing, impact, swing, impact. There is no skill, only force. The goal is to crack the mountain itself. The air is thick with white, choking dust that coats your lungs, turning your coughs into gritty, painful spasms. You see older slaves in the quarry, their postures permanently bent, their breathing a constant, wheezing struggle. They are walking corpses, their lungs turned to stone. This is your future, measured in breaths of rock dust. When you're not breaking stone, you're moving it. The blocks, once freed, are loaded onto wooden sledges. You and 5 other slaves are harnessed to the ropes. The overseer cracks his whip and you pull. The sledge groans, inches forward. Your muscles strain to the point of tearing. The rope bites into your shoulders, leaving raw, bleeding sores that never heal because the rope is always there the next day. You pull the stone to the building site, where other slaves are mixing mortar, raising walls, building the very prison that will house future generations of your kind. You are building your own tomb with your broken body. The field slave's body is a catalogue of ruin. Your hands are no longer hands. They are claws of callus and scar tissue. Your back is a roadmap of welts from the whip and a permanent stooped curve from years of bending to the earth. Your feet are splayed, cracked and horny from going barefoot on stone and thorns. Your joints ache with a deep, grinding pain that the morning chill turns into fire. You are 25 years old, but you move like a man of 60. The field ages you in dog years. 1 year here is 7 years anywhere else, and the hunger, the constant gnawing, hollow-bellied hunger. The kitchen slaves got scraps. The field slaves get precisely measured gruel, calculated to provide the absolute minimum calories required for a day of hard labor. It is never enough. Your body consumes itself. You feel your ribs. You count them. You look at the livestock, the pigs, the chickens, with a jealousy that borders on madness. They are fed better than you. They are housed better than you. Their lives are more valuable. A sick pig is treated. A sick slave is worked until he drops and then replaced. The field slave's mind is the final frontier of conquest. To survive, you must stop thinking. You must become the swing of the hammer, the pull of the rope, the step forward. Thinking leads to memories. Memories lead to pain. Pain leads to despair. Despair leads to rebellion or suicide, and both are punished brutally. So you learn to turn your mind off. You become an automaton. The vibrant person you once were, the one who laughed, who loved, who had a favorite food, a favorite song. That person is dead. They are a ghost that haunts the hollow shell you've become. You don't dream at night. You don't plan for tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is only today's quota of stone, today's length of ditch, today's portion of gruel. You are present tense, a creature of pure, unthinking reaction. This is the field slave's lot. It is not a life. It is a slow, sanctioned execution. The master doesn't see a human being when he looks at you. He sees a column in his account ledger. He has calculated your purchase price against your life expectancy and your output. You are a depreciating asset. When you break, when you can no longer swing the hammer or pull the rope, you will be written off, discarded. The field is a machine that grinds down human beings into profit, and you are the raw material being fed into its gears. You look at the quarry, at the endless fields, at the line of broken men and women moving like shadows. This is the foundation of the empire. Not marble, not legions, but this ocean of silent grinding misery. And you are now just another drop in it, sinking deeper with every swing of the hammer, every pull of the rope, every breath of stone dust that brings you closer to the end. The quarry is merely the gateway. When your body can no longer swing the sledgehammer with sufficient force, when your lungs have taken in too much stone dust, you are not retired, you are recycled. The Villicus examines you one morning, notes the bloody phlegm you cough up, the way you favor your right shoulder. He makes a notation on his wax tablet. A week later, you are loaded onto another cart with a dozen other broken men. You are being transferred. The destination, the mines. If the field was hell, the mine is the bottomless pit at its center. You arrive at a scar in the earth, a gaping wound in the landscape surrounded by wooden towers and pulleys. The air smells different here, acrid, metallic, with an undertone of decay. You are issued a tool, a short, heavy pickaxe and an iron-tipped shovel. You're also given a crude leather helmet and a small clay lamp that burns animal fat, giving off a pathetic, smoky light. This isn't for your safety, it's to help you see the ore you're digging. Your life is still less valuable than the copper or silver you will extract. You are herded into the mine entrance, a dark mouth that swallows the light and sound of the world above. The descent is immediate and steep. Rough-hewn wooden ladders lead down into the abyss. The further you go, the more the world closes in. The temperature rises. The air becomes thick, heavy and difficult to breathe. It's filled with the same rock dust as the quarry, but now mixed with the smell of damp earth, human waste, and the distinct, tangy odor of metal ores. Your lamp is the only thing holding back an absolute suffocating blackness. This is not a place. This is an anti-place, a tomb for the living. The work is a new category of brutal. You are assigned to a narrow tunnel, so low you must work on your hands and knees. Your job is to chip away at the rock face, following a thin vein of ore. You swing the pickaxe in the cramped space, the impact jarring your already damaged joints. There is no room to stand, no room to stretch. You work in this crouched fetal position for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. Your back, already bent from the fields, now sets into a permanent curve. The muscles in your neck and shoulders lock into a knot of pure agony. You are physically regressing, becoming less human, more like a mole, a creature of the dark and the dirt. The mine has its own special horrors. Cave-ins are constant. One moment you're swinging your pick, the next there's a rumble, a cloud of dust, and the tunnel behind you is gone. You hear the screams of men trapped on the other side, buried alive. The overseers don't try to dig them out. It's cheaper to let them die and bring in new slaves. The tunnels are unstable, propped up by wooden beams that groan under the weight of the mountain above you. Every creak is a promise of a crushing death. You develop a new kind of fear, not just of the whip, but of the very earth itself turning against you. Then there are the gases. In some sections of the mine, the air turns bad. You'll be working and suddenly feel lightheaded, nauseous. Men simply collapse, their lamps going out. The overseers test the air by lowering a lamp. If it goes out, the area is deadly. They wait for the air to clear, or they send in the most disposable slaves to work until they drop. You are a canary in a coal mine, except no one cares if you die. Your death is just a data point, confirming the presence of poison. The logistics of the mine are a nightmare in themselves. Once you've broken the ore-laden rock, you must carry it out. You fill a large wicker basket, heave it onto your back, and begin the long, slow climb up those slippery, precarious ladders. The basket is immensely heavy, cutting into your flesh. One misstep, one weak rung, and you plummet into the darkness below. You hear the occasional distant crash, a brief scream cut short. No one goes down to retrieve the body. It becomes part of the mine. You are literally carrying the mountain on your back, piece by piece, until either the mountain or your body gives out. The mine does not have seasons. It does not have day or night. There is only the shift. You work until the overseer says stop. You sleep in a barracks even more squalid than the farms, a hole in the ground filled with straw and the dying. You are fed a thin, watery soup, because a mine slave doesn't need the calories of a field slave. You're not growing food, you're just digging rock. Your body withers. The combination of starvation, toxic air, and relentless labor creates a specific kind of corpse, skeletal, dust-choked, and twisted. This is the end of the line for a slave. There is no lower rung on the ladder. The mines are where you are sent to be used up, completely and utterly. Your life expectancy here is measured in months, not years. You are a consumable resource, like lamp oil or pickaxe handles. You swing your pick in the flickering light, in the heat, in the dust, in the constant gnawing fear, and you understand with perfect, terrible clarity that you will never see the sun again. You will die in this hole, your body left to rot in a collapsed tunnel or tossed into a mass grave. The backbreaking work has finally reached its logical conclusion, the breaking of the man himself. You are no longer a person or even a tool. You are fuel, burned to extract shiny metals from the earth until there is nothing left of you but a memory. And soon, not even that. The mine is a machine for grinding souls, but it is just one part of a vast interlocking system of control. The whip and the chain are the obvious tools, but the true genius of Roman slavery lies in the subtler psychological instruments, the invisible architecture of fear and submission that keeps you in your place long after the overseer has left your sight. The most obvious instrument is, of course, the whip. But it's not just a tool for punishment, it's a tool for communication. The flagrum is the most feared. It's not a single lash, but a multi-thonged whip, often with pieces of bone or metal tied to the ends. When it strikes, it doesn't just leave a welt, it flays the skin, tearing out chunks of flesh. The sound it makes is unique, a sharp whistle in the air, followed by a wet, tearing thud. You don't just feel the pain, you hear the damage it does to the person next to you. Its purpose isn't just to correct a mistake, it's to remind everyone within earshot what disobedience costs. The threat of the flagrum is often more powerful than its use. The sight of it coiled on the villicus's belt is enough to make a line of slaves stand straighter, work faster, breathe quieter. Then there are the restraints. You know the simple chain and collar, but the Romans were engineers of confinement. For slaves deemed a flight risk, there's the fibula, a heavy, often spiked iron collar that locks around the neck. It's not just a symbol, its weight is a constant drag, and the spikes make it impossible to sleep comfortably on your side. For more severe cases, or for punishment, there are shackles for the wrists and ankles, compedes, that are deliberately heavy and crude, designed to rub the skin raw with every movement. In the mines, some slaves work in full chains, a permanent clanking reminder that they are just one step away from total immobilization in a dungeon. But the physical tools are just the blunt instruments. The real control is psychological. The Romans perfected the art of divide and rule. Slaves are categorized, ranked, and pitted against each other. The domestic slave looks down on the field slave. The skilled artisan looks down on the unskilled laborer. The villicus, himself a slave, is the most potent weapon in this arsenal. He is given power over you, better food, a private cell, the authority to punish. And in return, he enforces the master's will with a brutality that often surpasses the master's. He must prove his loyalty by being merciless. He is a walking lesson. Compliance with the system might grant you a slightly taller stack of straw to sleep on. It turns slave against slave, ensuring you see each other as rivals for scraps rather than allies in suffering. Another insidious tool is the complete control of information and time. You have no idea what day it is, what year it is. There are no calendars for you. Time is measured in bells and tasks. The sun rises, you work. The bell rings, you eat. The sun sets, you work more. This destruction of chronological time makes planning impossible. It disconnects you from the world, from history, from any future beyond the next swing of the pickaxe. You live in an eternal, miserable present. The control extends to your very identity. You are renamed. Your foreign name is too difficult, too barbaric. You are called by a Latin name chosen for you, or simply by your function: cook, Gaul, big nose. Your past is systematically erased. Any cultural or religious practices from your homeland are forbidden. You are stripped of the gods who knew your name and given the Roman pantheon, gods who served the state and the master class. This spiritual conquest is perhaps the most profound. It severs your connection to your ancestors, to your heritage, leaving you spiritually adrift in a world that hates you. The system also employs rewards, tiny and unpredictable, to foster a desperate, destructive hope. A villicus might suddenly grant an extra portion of wine after a particularly brutal week. The master might, in a capricious moment, give a worn-out tunic to a slave who amuses him. These aren't acts of kindness, they are manipulations. They keep you guessing. They make you strive for a favor that will never fundamentally change your condition. You find yourself working harder, not out of fear of the whip, but in the vain hope of a sip of better wine. It makes you complicit in your own exploitation. The most pervasive instrument of control, however, is the law. As we've discussed, you are a thing. But this legal reality is constantly reinforced. You see it when a slave is publicly executed for stealing a sack of grain, the law protecting property. You see it when a slave is returned by the authorities after running away, branded on the forehead with the letter F for fugitivus as a permanent public warning. The law isn't a shield for you, it's a cage. Its very existence tells every free person that you are less than human, and it tells you that there is no appeal, no refuge, no justice. The entire weight of the Roman state is designed to hold you down. These instruments, the whip, the chain, the manipulated hierarchy, the destroyed time, the stolen identity, the hollow rewards, and the crushing law, work in concert. They create a prison without walls, a tyranny that follows you into your dreams. You are not just controlled by the man with the whip. You are controlled by a system that has thought of everything, that has anticipated every impulse toward resistance and engineered a way to crush it. You learn to police yourself. You learn to fear your own thoughts. The instruments of control become internalized until the greatest overseer lives not behind you, but inside your own mind. The instruments of control are not just for show. They have a purpose, a final, terrible application. The threat is always present, a storm cloud on the horizon. But today, the storm breaks. Today, you learn the difference between knowing about pain and truly understanding it. Today, you are punished. It starts with a mistake. Maybe you dropped a valuable amphora of wine in the kitchen. Maybe you looked the villicus in the eye for a second too long. Maybe you were simply the slave, standing closest when the master's son skinned his knee and needed someone to blame. The reason doesn't matter. The result is all that exists. Two overseers grab you. There is no trial, no defense. You are guilty of being a slave who has inconvenienced a Roman. That is the only charge. You are dragged to the punishment post, a thick, weathered wooden stake driven permanently into the ground in the central courtyard. This is where justice is served. Publicly. Your tunic is torn from your back. The rough wood scratches your chest. Your arms are pulled around the post and your wrists are bound with coarse rope. You are exposed, vulnerable, the center of a grim spectacle. The other slaves are forced to watch. This is part of the lesson, for them and for you. The villicus approaches. He carries the flagrum. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The first lash is a revelation. It's not a sting, it's an explosion. The leather thongs, weighted with metal, don't just strike your skin, they sink into it. There is a sound, a wet, tearing crack that you feel as much as hear. For a split second there is nothing. Then the pain arrives. It is a white-hot, all-consuming fire that races up your spine and sets your entire nervous system ablaze. You scream. You can't help it. It is a sound you have never made before, ripped from a place deeper than your soul. The second lash lands before the pain of the first has even fully registered. It overlaps, intensifies, creates a symphony of agony. Your back is being systematically flayed. You can feel the skin separating from the muscle, the warm blood beginning to pour down your sides, pooling at the waist of your loincloth. You bite your lip to stop screaming and you taste your own blood. The count begins, 10, 20, 30. The world narrows to the space between lashes. You are no longer a man, you are a canvas of pain. Each crack of the whip paints a new stripe of fire. You lose count. Time distorts. A minute feels like an hour feels like an eternity in Hades. But the whip is just the beginning. For more serious crimes, there are other tools. The ungula, a claw-like tool used to tear at the flesh. The eculeus, the little horse, a torture rack that stretches your joints until they pop and separate. You see these tools hanging on the wall, waiting. You see the brazier where irons are heated for branding. You know of slaves who have had their tongues cut out for speaking against their master, their tendons sliced to prevent escape. Punishment is not just about inflicting pain. It's about marking, mutilating, and making an example. A dead slave is a loss of property. A broken, mutilated slave is a permanent advertisement for obedience. The most feared punishment, the one that haunts every slave's nightmares, is crucifixion. It is not just a death sentence, it is a performance of ultimate agony designed to terrify the living. The condemned slave is forced to carry the horizontal crossbeam, the patibulum, to the place of execution outside the town. There, on a permanent vertical post, they are nailed or tied. The pain of the nails is just the opening act. The real torture is the slow, asphyxiating agony of hanging by your arms, your chest cavity compressed, fighting for every single breath for hours, sometimes days. Death comes from exhaustion, dehydration, or suffocation. The bodies are often left to rot, food for crows, a gruesome landmark reminding everyone of the price of defiance. Your punishment ends at 40 lashes. You are untied. Your legs give way and you collapse into the dirt. The overseers dump a bucket of salt water over your ravaged back. The pain is so exquisite, so shocking, that you black out for a moment. You come to, lying in the filth. You are dragged to the barracks and thrown onto your stomach on the wooden platform. No one tends to your wounds. The other slaves avoid looking at you. Your back is a raw, bloody ruin. For days, every movement is torment. The wounds get infected. You burn with fever. You drift in and out of consciousness, the line between memory and nightmare blurred. When you finally heal, weeks later, you are left with a permanent tapestry of scars crisscrossing your back. But the deeper scar is inside. The punishment has rewired you. The constant, low-grade fear you lived with before has been replaced by a cold, certain knowledge. You have touched the absolute bottom of what they can do to you. You have learned the true currency of this world, pain. And you know, with a certainty that settles in your bones, that they have an endless supply. You will never forget the sound of the whip, the feel of the tearing flesh, the taste of blood in your mouth. It is a lesson written on your body and carved into your mind. You are broken, and in your brokenness, you have never been more compliant. The scars on your back have hardened, a permanent, leathery map of your submission. But deep within, beneath the layers of learned obedience and numbing fatigue, a different kind of scar throbs, a raw, unhealed wound of a memory called freedom. And sometimes, in the darkest hours, that memory begins to bleed. It starts not with a shout, but with a whisper. It begins with a look. You're hauling water from the well, your shoulders screaming with the old familiar pain. Another slave, a Thracian with eyes that haven't gone dead yet, meets your gaze. He doesn't look away immediately. He holds it for a second too long. In that silent exchange, an entire conversation happens. I see your pain. I share it. I remember what we were. That look is a spark landing on the dry tinder of your soul. The whispers start in the barracks after the bolt is thrown for the night. They are so quiet, they are almost felt rather than heard. Vibrations in the darkness. You hear a name you haven't heard in years. Spartacus. It's not just a name, it's a ghost, a legend, a prayer. They talk about the gladiator school in Capua, about how he and a few dozen others broke out with nothing but kitchen knives and sheer blinding rage. They talk about how an army of slaves grew, how they defeated legion after legion, how for 2 glorious years they carved a free territory out of the very heart of Italy. They weren't slaves, they were an army, they were a people. The stories are intoxicating, a dangerous wine that makes your head spin. You learn of Crixus the Gaul, of Oenomaus, of the battles at Mount Vesuvius. You hear how they lived by their own rules, how they divided the spoils equally, how they proved that the invincible legions could bleed. The storyteller, an old Sicilian who claims his father fought in the earlier wars, speaks of the ultimate goal: to cross the Alps, to leave Italy behind, to go home. Home. The word feels foreign on your tongue, a relic from a dead language. This is the hope of rebellion. It's not a plan, it's a fever. It spreads through the barracks like a disease, infecting the young, the new, the ones who haven't yet been completely broken. You start to see your fellow slaves differently. The Gaul with the monstrous strength isn't just a laborer, he's a future soldier. The nimble Syrian who serves in the house isn't just a waiter, he could be a spy. The blacksmith, with his access to metal and fire, isn't just a craftsman, he is an armorer. You look at the Villicus not with terror, but with calculation. How would we take him? How quickly could we secure the tool shed? The axes, the sledgehammers, the pruning hooks, they are no longer just tools. In your mind, they are weapons. But the fever is laced with a chilling reality. The old Sicilian always ends his stories the same way. He tells of the final battle. He speaks of the legions of Crassus, rebuilt and ruthless, building a wall across Italy to trap the slave army. He describes the last, desperate stand, the chaos, the slaughter. He tells how Spartacus died, his body never found, but his army crucified along the Appian Way from Capua to Rome. 6,000 crosses. A forest of dead men stretching for miles, a warning that took years to fully rot away. The hope of rebellion is always followed by the memory of the price. And then there is the betrayal. The old man lowers his voice even further. He says that towards the end, as hope waned, some of the slave armies turned on each other. The Gauls and the Germans split from Spartacus, wanting to plunder, not escape. They were defeated in detail. The lesson is clear. Even in rebellion, the master's strategy of divide and rule can work. Can you trust the man sleeping next to you? Would he sell out the plot for an extra ration of wine? Would you? The hope is a dangerous, double-edged sword. It gives you a reason to wake up beyond the bell and the gruel. It puts a spark back in your eyes. But it also makes the reality of your chains feel heavier. The gap between the dream of freedom and the truth of your condition is a chasm that can drive a man mad. You look at the overseers, at the high walls of the estate, at the endless open road that leads only to more Roman territory, and the hope curdles into a desperate, hopeless longing. Yet, the whisper remains. It is the one thing they cannot completely control, the one part of you they cannot own. The hope of rebellion is the knowledge that the machine, for all its power, is fragile. It depends on your compliance, and sometimes in the right conditions, with the right spark, compliance can shatter into a million pieces of sharp, broken rage. The hope is a ghost, but sometimes ghosts win. The whispers of rebellion are a fever dream, a beautiful, poisonous fantasy that grips the barracks. For a few weeks it feels like something is stirring. The looks last longer, the silent understandings deepen. A plan, fragile and desperate, begins to form. It is set for the night of the new moon, when the darkness is deepest. But hope is a leaky vessel in a sea of fear. And someone talks. The betrayal doesn't come with a shout. It comes with the sound of the barracks door exploding inwards, not at the hour of the bell, but in the dead of night. Torchlight floods the darkness, blinding you. The Villicus stands there, backed by a dozen overseers and even a few legionaries from the local garrison. Their faces are hard, their swords are drawn. They know everything. The names, the plan, the tools you are going to use. They grab the Thracian first, the one with the fire in his eyes. They grab the old Sicilian storyteller. They grab the blacksmith. And they grab you. You are dragged into the courtyard, thrown onto the cold, hard ground with the other conspirators. There are 10 of you. The rest of the slaves are herded out to watch, their faces pale with terror in the flickering light. This is not a punishment. This is an extermination. The master stands on the porch of his villa, wrapped in a cloak, his face a mask of cold fury. You dared to challenge his world, now he will remake yours in fire and blood. The interrogation is called quaestio. It is not about discovering the truth. The truth is already known. It is about the performance of power. You are tied to the punishment post, one by one. The Villicus does not use the whip this time. He uses the ungula, the claw. He asks questions you cannot answer, because the answers mean betraying the only people who made you feel human again. So you stay silent. The first rake of the claws across your chest is an agony so sharp and precise it steals your breath. He asks again. You grit your teeth. The second tear is deeper. You scream. He asks about the others, about their roles. You will not speak. The third tear opens a furrow to the bone. The pain is a white, blinding sun in your mind. You break. The names spill from your lips, each one feeling like a betrayal worse than the pain. You are all broken, every single one of you. With the confessions extracted, the sentencing begins. The master's voice cuts through the moans of the wounded. For the crime of conspiracy, for plotting against your master and the Roman state, the sentence is death. He pauses, letting the word hang in the air. But a simple death is a mercy you have not earned. The blacksmith, the man who was to make your weapons, is dragged to the forge. His hands, the instruments of the planned rebellion, are forced onto the anvil. An overseer brings down a sledgehammer, crushing the bones to pulp. His screams are high, shrill, inhuman. He will live, but he will never work again. He will be a walking reminder, a beggar on the estate. The old Sicilian is next. His tongue, which spun the tales of Spartacus, is cut out with a pair of shears. He chokes on his own blood, a silent, gurgling wreck. Then comes the main event. You, the Thracian, and 4 others are declared the ringleaders. You are beaten, stripped, and chained together. You are marched off the estate, down the road, towards the main highway. You know where you're going. You have heard the stories. The Appian Way. You see them from a mile away. A line of fresh, raw wooden crosses standing against the dawn sky like a grotesque orchard. The legionaries are efficient. They have done this before. You are thrown to the ground. The Thracian is first. He struggles, he spits, he curses the Romans in his own language until the end. They nail him to the cross. The sound of the hammer on iron is methodical, rhythmic, like a horrifying piece of music. Then it's your turn. The rough wood is against your back. Your wrist is held flat against the crossbeam. You see the iron spike. You see the hammer rise. The first impact is a concussive blast of pain that shatters the bones in your wrist. You scream until your throat is raw. They do the other wrist, then your ankles. The pain is beyond description. It is the universe, and it is made of agony. Then they raise you up. The jerk as the cross settles into its hole sends fresh waves of fire through your body. This is the true punishment. The slow, public, agonizing death. Your body weight pulls on the nailed wounds, compressing your chest. Every breath is a struggle, a desperate heaving gasp. The sun beats down. The flies come. You hang there for hours. You see the other slaves from the estate being marched past, forced to look at you. You are a lesson. This is the price. You watch the Thracian die first. You see the life leave his eyes. You hang there as day turns to night. The cold is a new kind of torture. You drift in and out of consciousness, the pain your only companion. You think of your daughter, her face finally clear again in your mind. It is the last beautiful thing you will ever see. Your breathing becomes more ragged, more shallow. The struggle becomes too much. Your heart, starved of oxygen and weighed down with despair, gives out. The last thing you hear is the caw of a crow. Waiting. The price has been paid. The account is settled. And the machine of slavery grinds on, its authority written in your blood and displayed for all to see. The cross is not your end. In a twist of fate as cruel as any punishment, the fever that should have consumed you on that timber instead breaks. A sudden, torrential downpour, an act of God or random chance, saves you. The legionaries, eager to get out of the storm, cut down the bodies after only a day. Finding a faint pulse in your neck and seeing you as more trouble dead than alive for paperwork purposes, they dump you at the estate's gate. The master, seeing a potential asset not quite fully depreciated, has your wounds crudely treated. You live, but you are no longer the same. The hope of rebellion is dead, crucified alongside your friends. What remains is a colder, more calculating thought. If you cannot break the system, perhaps you can work within its warped rules. You begin to play the long game, the game of manumission. Manumission. The word is whispered with a reverence usually reserved for gods. It means formal release from slavery. It is the shimmering mirage on the horizon of every slave's life. And it is, for the vast majority, a complete and total illusion. The path to it is designed to be nearly impossible. The first and most common method is by the master's grant. He can free you in his will, a reward for a lifetime of loyal service. But what does loyal service mean? It means never complaining, never making a mistake, anticipating every need, and outliving your master. It means watching decades of your life vanish into his comfort, praying his heart softens as his body weakens. And even if he does free you in his will, his heirs can easily contest it. You are a piece of property being bequeathed. They can argue it was a mistake, that you were included in error. Your freedom can be litigated away by people you've never met. The second path is to buy your freedom. This requires you to save your peculium, the tiny allowance some masters grant their slaves. Think about that. You must save money while being paid a pittance, while your body is being actively destroyed by labor, while you have to pay for any extra food, clothing, or medicine you might need. The price for your freedom is set by your master, and it is always astronomically high, often more than he originally paid for you, to account for your appreciation as a trained asset. To save that amount would take 100 years of perfect health and absolute frugality. It is a mathematical impossibility for most. The peculium is not a path to freedom. It's a psychological tool to make you feel like you have some agency, a pretend economy to keep you docile. But let's say a miracle happens. Through some combination of groveling obedience, sheer luck, and the master's capricious whims, you are granted your freedom. The ceremony is a public spectacle. The master touches you with a rod called a vindicta in front of a magistrate. You are declared free. For a moment you feel a lightness you had forgotten was possible. The air seems different. Then reality descends. You are not a citizen. You are a libertus, a freedman, and your old master is now your patronus. This relationship is freedom in name only. You are now bound to your patronus by a web of social and legal obligations more sticky than any chain. You owe him obsequium, respect, and deference. You must perform opry, days of unpaid labor for him each year. If you start a business, he is first in line for your services, often at a discounted rate. If you earn a profit, he might expect a cut. If you run for office in the limited positions open to freedmen, you need his support. He has a legal claim on your estate when you die. If you fail in your duties, he can sue you, and the courts will always favor the patronus. You have exchanged the certainty of the whip for the uncertainty of clientage. Socially, you are marked. The stain of slavery is permanent. The F for freedman might not be branded on your forehead, but it is etched into how people see you. Full citizens will look down on you. Your children might be citizens, but you will always be the ex-slave. You can never hold high office. You can never marry into an old patrician family. You are free, but you are not equal. You have been moved from the warehouse to the porch, but you are still on the master's property. And the master, your patronus, knows this. He hasn't lost a slave. He has gained a client. A client who is legally obligated to him, who will amplify his political influence, and who will still provide him with labor and wealth. He has incentivized your obedience without the cost of housing and feeding you. It is a brilliant, cynical maneuver. He gets the moral credit for being magnanimous, while consolidating his power over you in a new, more efficient way. So you take your freedom and you leave the estate. You find a tiny room in a city insula, a crumbling brick apartment that smells of sewage and smoke. You use your skills, perhaps as a cook or a laborer, to eke out a living. You are your own man. But every year you must return to the villa you swore to escape. You must bow to your patronus, work for him for free, and listen to him tell his guests, "That's my freedman. I made him what he is today." And he's right. He designed the maze you had to run. He set the price you could never afford. And he now enjoys the benefits of your freedom as much as you do. The cage door is open, but the leash is still around your neck. You are free to do exactly what he allows. The illusion is perfect, and you will spend the rest of your life pretending you can't see the strings. The illusion of freedom is a ghost that haunts the mind, but the truth of your bondage is carved into your flesh. Your body is no longer a temple, it is a document. Every scar, every ache, every twisted limb is a chapter in the story of your servitude. It is the one thing that is undeniably, inarguably yours, and it has been systematically remade into a testament of your master's ownership. Start with your hands. They are no longer hands, they are tools. The palms are a landscape of thick, yellow calluses, hardened leather pads that have erased your fingerprints. The fingers are permanently curled, shaped to the handle of an ascia, a pickaxe, a broom. The joints are swollen and ache with a deep arthritic throb that the morning chill turns into fire. You have blisters on top of blisters that never fully heal, just harden into new layers of armor. Your nails are thick, split, and packed with the perpetual grime of your labor, soil, ash, stone dust. You cannot make a fist properly anymore. Your hands have forgotten how to be hands. They only know how to be claws, hooks, and levers. Your back is the masterpiece of your suffering. The scars from the whip are the most obvious, raised, pale welts that crisscross your skin like a deranged map. But beneath them is the real damage. Years of bending, lifting, and swinging have permanently altered your skeleton. Your spine is no longer straight. It has a pronounced forward curve, a permanent stoop that forces you to look at the ground a physical manifestation of your subservience. The muscles in your shoulders and neck are locked in a state of constant, knotted tension. When you try to stand straight, the pain is excruciating. Your body has been trained into its posture of submission. Your feet are splayed, flat, and horny. You have spent years barefoot or in crude sandals on every surface imaginable. Sharp stones, hot sand, frozen mud, thorns. The soles are cracked like dry riverbeds, so thick you could step on a nail and not feel it until you saw the blood. Your toes are crooked, some broken and healed at odd angles from dropped stones or being trod on by an overseer's boot. You walk with a slight, rolling gait, a limp born from 1,000 minor injuries that never had time to heal properly. Then there is the damage you can't see, the internal ruin. Your lungs are the first to go. If you work the fields, they are filled with dust and chaff. If you work the kitchen, they are coated with smoke and grease. If you work the mines, they are a crumbling stone dust nightmare. You have a cough that never leaves you, a dry, hacking rattle that doubles you over and leaves you gasping. In the winter, it turns wet and bloody. You know what this means. The stone is taking you from the inside. Your lungs are turning to concrete. Your digestion is a constant war. A lifetime of coarse, rotten, and inadequate food has left your gut a fragile, painful mess. You are plagued by cramps, by bloating, by diarrhea that leaves you weak and dehydrated. Your teeth are loose in your gums, stained and cracked from grit in the bread and the lack of anything clean to chew. You are chronically, debilitatingly hungry, but your stomach often can't keep down what little you are given. Your hearing is damaged from the constant percussive noise of the quarry, the hammer, the mill. Your eyes are strained from squinting in the sun or straining in the dim light of the mine or kitchen. Your skin is a patchwork of burns, cuts, rashes and sores that never fully heal because you are always dirty, always working, always exposed. But the most profound change is how you see this broken vessel you inhabit. You do not see a human body. You see a machine. You assess its functionality with a cold, detached practicality. Is there enough fuel, gruel, in the tank to complete the day's tasks? Is the primary motor, your back and legs, still operational, or is the pain becoming a critical failure? Are the grasping tools, your hands, still capable of holding the necessary implements? You listen to the sounds it makes, the wheeze of the lungs, the grind of the knees, the ache of the spine, not with concern, but with the calculation of a farmer listening to an aging ox. How much longer can this thing last? Your body is not you. It is the shell that contains your suffering. It is the thing that stands between you and the whip, the thing that earns the gruel, the thing that must be forced to continue. You are a ghost, piloting a ruined machine, and every day the machine fails a little more. The pain is no longer an event, it is an environment. It is the air you breathe, the ground you walk on. You are your body, and your body is a chronicle of pain, a living, breathing, aching record of what it costs to build an empire on the backs of men. And you know with a certainty that settles in your marrow that this body will not carry you to old age. It will carry you only to the point of total depletion, and then it will discard you. You are a living autopsy, and the cause of death was written the day you were first branded. Your body is a ruined monument, but the true battlefield was never your flesh and bone. It was your mind. While the whip scarred your back, a more insidious violence was being committed inside your skull. The conquest of the self is the final and most complete victory for the master. It begins with memory. Your past life doesn't fade. It's systematically dismantled. The face of your child, the sound of your mother's voice, the smell of your homeland's earth, these are not gentle memories. They are weapons that turn against you. The pain of remembering is sharper than the lash. So you learn not to remember. You build a wall in your mind and you bury your past behind it. You don't forget, you abandon. You become an orphan of your own history. The person you were is a ghost, and you are the empty house it haunts. Then comes the internalization. The master's voice doesn't just command you from the outside, it moves in. It takes up residence in your head. You hear it when you wake up. You are lazy. You are stupid. You are property. You start to believe it. When you make a mistake, you don't think, I am tired. You think, I am a failed tool. You begin to police yourself. You criticize your own movements, your own thoughts, with the villicus's cold efficiency. The greatest overseer is no longer the man with the whip. It's the whisper in your own mind that tells you you deserve this. Your sense of time collapses into a flat, featureless plane. There is no future. To imagine a future is to imagine a different life, and that is a dangerous, painful indulgence. There is only the endless, cycling present. The bell rings, you work. The sun sets, you collapse. Tomorrow is just a copy of today, and yesterday is a blur of indistinguishable misery. You lose the ability to plan, to hope, to look forward. You become a creature of pure reaction, responding only to immediate stimuli, pain, hunger, the command of a voice. Your emotions are sanded down to their bluntest edges. Joy is a foreign country you have no visa for. Love is a liability. To love another slave is to hand your master a weapon to use against you. To love your child is to live in constant terror of them being sold away. So you learn to feel nothing. You look at the slave who shares your straw bed, and you feel a hollow where affection should be. You look at the sky, and you feel nothing. The world becomes a grey, muffled place. This emotional numbness isn't peace. It's a defense mechanism so total it becomes a new kind of prison. But the mind, in its desperation, finds strange escapes. You dissociate. Your body is turning the mill, but your mind is somewhere else, floating in a blank white space. You are not here. You are not in this pain. This is happening to someone else. These moments of mental absence are your only true vacations. But they are dangerous. If you dissociate while turning the spit, you might burn the meat. If you dissociate in the fields, the whip finds you. So you learn to split your consciousness, to let a part of you float away while a hollowed-out automaton performs the labor. The master encourages this fragmentation. He doesn't want a whole person. He wants a collection of functions, the part that cooks, the part that carries, the part that obeys. He rewards the automaton and punishes the person. Over time, the automaton grows stronger, and the person retreats further and further into the shadows of your own mind. You become a tenant in your own head, watching this shell of a being live your life for you. In rare, terrifying moments, the person fights back. A memory breaks through the wall. A surge of rage at an injustice. A desperate, suicidal thought of rebellion. These moments are crises. They are a civil war inside your skull. The master's installed voice shouts them down. Be quiet. Be still. Obey. The automaton reasserts control. The moment passes. The person retreats, wounded. These internal battles are more exhausting than any day in the quarry. This is the final, silent triumph of the system. It doesn't just break your body, it colonizes your mind. It convinces you that your captivity is your nature, that your obedience is wisdom, that your numbness is peace. You are the guard in your own prison. You are the warden of your own soul. The chains are no longer just on your wrists. They are woven into the fabric of your thoughts. When you look in a still pool of water, you don't see a man. You see a slave. And you know in the deepest, most silent part of what's left of you that this is the most profound loss of all. They haven't just taken your freedom. They have taken you, and you helped them do it. The psychological chains that bind you are universal. But the system has special torments reserved for specific victims. While your mind retreats into numbness, You witness the particular grinding horror inflicted upon the women and children of the estate. A cruelty that proves the system is capacity for infinite variation in suffering. For a woman, the field or the kitchen is only half her sentence. Her body carries a double burden. The master, his sons, his guests, even the villicus, they all see her as a perk of ownership. There is no concept of consent. There is only availability. She's pulled from her chores, dragged into a storage room or a field, used and discarded. There is no one to complain to. If she resists, she is beaten. If she fights back, she is maimed or killed. Her body is not her own in a way that is fundamentally different from yours. It is a territory to be invaded, a resource to be extracted, and the violation is treated with a casual, bored inevitability, like taking a cup of water from the well. Then comes the pregnancy. There is no joy in it. It is a sentence within a sentence. She must continue her backbreaking labor until her body literally cannot bend anymore. The master might grant her a slight reprieve in the final months, not out of compassion, but to protect his investment. The child growing inside her is future property. When her time comes, there are no sterile conditions, no midwives with gentle hands. She gives birth on the straw of the barracks, or in a corner of the kitchen, attended only by other slave women who have done this before. The pain is immense, and if she dies, she is replaced. If the child dies, it is noted as a minor economic loss. If both survive, a new kind of hell begins. The child is not hers. It is the master's. It is Werner, homeborn slave stock, often considered more docile and valuable. She may be allowed to nurse it, but only for a few months. Then she is back to full labor. The child is placed in a crude nursery, a pen for human infants, watched over by an old slave woman who is too broken for anything else. The mother must steal moments to see her child, to touch its face, to whisper a name she hopes it will remember. But the master can sell the child at any time. He can give it to his daughter as a wedding present. He can take it from her arms, and she will never see it again. This knowledge is a constant, living agony. To love is to hold your heart outside your body, waiting for someone to crush it. The children themselves know no other life. They are born into the chains. As soon as they can walk, they are put to work. A 5-year-old is tasked with scaring birds from the fields. A 7-year-old carries water skins to the laborers. A 10-year-old works the bellows in the forge or helps in the kitchen. Their small bodies are bent to labor before they are fully formed. They learn to lower their eyes, to step aside, to call the master's son little master. They are taught their place before they are taught their name. Their education is the education of submission. They learn the sound of the whip before they learn the names of the stars. They learn the taste of gruel before they taste honey. They learn that their mother can be taken from them, that their body is not their own, that their future is a copy of the present misery that surrounds them. The spark of childhood, the curiosity, the play, the boundless energy, is systematically extinguished and replaced with the weary efficiency of a miniature adult. They are old in their youth. For girls, the shadow of their mother's fate looms from the moment they reach puberty. They learn to make themselves invisible, to hunch their shoulders, to hide their developing bodies under shapeless rags. It rarely works. They become the next generation of targets. The cycle begins again. Their wombs become factories for new slaves. Their breasts become nourishment for future property. Their lives are a closed loop of production and exploitation. You watch this, and your own numbness is challenged by a different, colder emotion. A profound, helpless rage. You see a mother singing a lullaby from a homeland she hasn't seen in 20 years to a child who will never see it at all. You see a little boy, his arms thin as reeds, struggling to carry a water bucket half his weight. You see a young girl flinch when the master's son walks by. And you understand that the true evil of the system is not just that it breaks people, but that it is self-perpetuating. It designs its own future. It breeds its own replacements. It consumes generations. The women and children are the proof that slavery is not an event. It is an ecosystem, a sustainable, renewable resource of human misery. Their suffering is quiet, often hidden, but it is the deep, dark root from which the entire ugly tree grows. To break a man is one thing. To break a child before it becomes a man, to break a woman and then use her to create more broken people, that is the system's ultimate chilling achievement. It doesn't just enslave the present, it enslaves the future. The cycle of generations grinds on, but every machine has a point of failure. For you, that point is arriving. The body you have treated as a tool for decades is finally, irrevocably breaking down. Not with a dramatic collapse, but with a slow, grinding halt. This is not an event, it is a process, the end of the line. It starts with a slowing. You can't swing the Assia as fast. You can't carry the stones as far. The Vilicus notices. His eyes, always calculating, now look at you with a different kind of assessment. He is not evaluating your strength. He is estimating the remaining useful life. You are a piece of equipment nearing the end of its serviceable warranty. The whip cracks closer to you now, not to punish a specific fault, but to test your reflexes, to see if there's any life left to squeeze out. You are becoming a liability. The master is informed. He consults his ledgers. He sees the initial purchase price, the years of maintenance, the gruel, the occasional tunic, and weighs it against your declining output. The math is cold and simple. You are no longer profitable. You are depreciation made flesh. The decision is made not with malice, but with the bland efficiency of a man balancing his accounts. You are to be worked until you can no longer stand, and then disposed of. The final decline is a cascade of failures. The cough that was a constant companion turns wet and bloody, a sign that the stone dust in your lungs is finally winning. You cough up chunks of your own tissue. A fever sets in, not the burning fever of infection, but a deep, cold fever of systemic collapse. Your body is consuming itself. Your joints, already ruined, swell and lock. You wake up one morning and you cannot stand. You try to push yourself up from the straw, but your arms buckle. You collapse back into the filth. The Vilicus comes. He prods you with his boot. You don't react. He calls for 2 other slaves. You are dragged from the barracks, not to the fields, but to a small windowless shed at the edge of the estate. This is the dying room. They throw you onto a pile of mouldy straw. There is no doctor. There is no water. There is only the weight. This is where the estate sends its broken tools to rust into nothing. You lie there in the dark. The sounds of the working estate are muffled, distant. You hear the bell, the shouts, the familiar sounds of the life that is now leaving you behind. You are already a ghost. The pain is different now, a deep, total, all-encompassing ache that seems to come from the very center of your bones. You are not in pain. You are pain. Time loses all meaning. There is only the rhythm of your own ragged breathing and the slow, cold seep of the damp earth beneath you. You drift in and out of consciousness. In your clearer moments, you are surprised by the absence of fear. There is only a vast, weary relief. The struggle is over. The bell will never ring for you again. The whip will never find your back. The hunger is a dull, distant memory. You think of your daughter's face, and this time the memory doesn't hurt. It is a small, warm ember in the freezing darkness. Then, one moment, the struggle for the next breath becomes too much. Your body, which has fought for so long against impossible odds, finally surrenders. There is no light, no angels, no chorus. There is only a final, quiet exhalation. And then, nothing. Your body is discovered the next morning. The Vilicus makes a final notation in his ledger. 2 slaves are ordered to take care of it. There is no ceremony, no mourning. You are wrapped in your own threadbare tunic, carried to a fallow field at the back of the estate, and dropped into a shallow, unmarked pit. Quicklime is thrown over you to speed decomposition and prevent disease. The dirt is shoveled back in. The whole process takes less than 15 minutes. The slaves return to their work. The villicus moves on to the day's tasks. The master notes the loss of assets. The world does not pause. It does not notice. You are gone. The space you occupied on the wooden platform is taken by a new slave, a young man with terror in his eyes and unbroken skin on his back. The machine continues. Your life, your suffering, your entire existence is reduced to a line in an account book that will soon be lost to time. You are a closed account, a settled debt, the end of the line. And the empire, built on a foundation of countless such silent endings, marches on, utterly indifferent. The dirt settles over your unmarked grave. The quicklime does its work. The physical you is gone, consumed by the earth you once tilled. But an echo remains, not of your name, not of your face, but of your suffering. This is the fading echo, the legacy not of one slave, but of millions. Your story was not unique, it was the template. While your body moulders in that field, the system you were part of is expanding, replicating, perfecting itself. In the cities, slaves are building the aqueducts and amphitheaters that will define Rome for millennia. In the provinces, newly conquered peoples are being marched in chains to replace the spent ones like you. The machine is voracious and it is winning. It grinds on through the rise and fall of emperors, through civil wars and plagues, its foundations the countless silent stories like yours. But echoes are strange things. They bounce off unexpected surfaces. They travel in ways that can't be predicted. Your suffering, and the suffering of every slave who swung a hammer, turned a mill, or felt the whip, has woven itself into the fabric of history in ways the account books could never measure. It is there in the engineering marvels you built, but never enjoyed. It is there in the vast wealth that funded art and philosophy you were never allowed to read. The entire edifice of classical Roman civilization, the one we still marvel at today, rests on a foundation of silent, anonymous agony. Every temple, every road, every poem has a ghostly counterpart, the memory of the broken body that made it possible. The echo even shaped the world that came after. The brutal logic of Roman slavery became the dark blueprint for other empires. It provided the twisted justification for centuries of human trafficking that would follow. But it also created a counter-echo. The first Christian communities, emerging within the empire, often found their strongest converts among slaves. People who heard a message of a kingdom where the last would be first, and found in it a hope that Rome could never offer. The very language of spiritual liberation was forged in the crucible of physical bondage. And then, slowly, the machine began to break down, not with a dramatic revolution, but with a slow, grinding change. The economic model became less profitable. New sources of labor were found. The moral contradictions, while ignored for centuries, eventually became too glaring to overlook. The laws changed. The chains, at least the legal ones, began to fall away. But the echo of your suffering didn't vanish. It had seeped into the cultural groundwater. It shaped attitudes about power, about human dignity, about what one person can do to another. It became a warning. Today we walk through museums and look at the artifacts of Rome. We see the beautiful pottery, the intricate jewelry, the sharp gladius. But now, when you look at these things, you can hear it. The faint, fading echo. The whisper of the slave who formed the clay, who set the stone, who sharpened the blade. We stand in the Colosseum's shadow and hear not just the roar of the crowd, but the clink of the chains in the tunnels below. We read the eloquent words of Cicero and Seneca and hear between the lines the silent scream of the human property that funded their education and leisure. Your story, and the story of every forgotten slave, is the dark matter of history, invisible, but its gravitational pull shapes everything. It reminds us that progress has often been built on a mountain of hidden pain, that our comfort can be someone else's catastrophe, that the line between civilization and barbarism is often drawn with a whip. So the next time you enjoy a moment of peace, a warm meal, a safe bed, remember the cost, remember the unmarked graves, remember the fading echo. It is a debt that can never be repaid, but it is a story that must never be forgotten. Because in remembering, we acknowledge the humanity that the system tried to erase. We give a voice to the silence. We ensure that the echo, however faint, never completely dies away. Your body is dust. Your name is lost, but your echo remains. A whisper in the stones, a chill in the marble, a reminder of the price of empires and the unbreakable value of a single human life.